Season 3 of Full House is definitely one of my favourite seasons from the show. It's got some of my favourite moments in it, and I feel like it's a really well-rounded season as well. So as I do when I discuss these, I'm not going to go through every single episode or every single point. I'm just going to mention things that I personally found interesting or that I personally enjoyed. If your opinions differ, or if you have your own favourite moments that I don't mention, I'd love to know what they are. This will, of course, contain spoilers because I'm going into a tiny bit of detail about the episodes and character developments. So the season starts with Tanner's Island, which is the episode where they go on a trip to Hawaii. Very interesting way to start a season. And the episode itself is really good. It's not very often that we get to go further afield with any kind of sitcom, really. The fact that they're going all the way to Hawaii gives us kind of a fresh perspective on the characters when they're in different situations. It's not my favourite episode, but I do like it, and, it's an interesting setting to see how grown-up Michelle has become since the previous season as well. It's quite intense. It's all about family coming together when they're in a difficult situation, but also there's a lot of arguing in this. It's definitely an interesting start to the season. The second episode as well is really interesting, because in this one, DJ begins 7th grade, and she starts to face challenges, and it's the first time where we kind of see DJ not as a child, but as a preteen growing into a teenager. We also get to see some of Kimmy here. I love Kimmy as a character. We do get a good amount of Kimmy in season 3, so that's obviously something that I adore. This is also apparently the first time Michelle says, "You got it, dude." I'm taking Wikipedia as fact for that. But obviously Michelle, now that she's older, she's able to talk a lot more and has her own personality a bit more. She gets to develop these catchphrases and, "You're in big trouble, mister. No way, Jose." And of course, "You got it, dude." That's something that I always adore. In this season, in episode 7, we're introduced to Comet. Bringing in Comet was a brilliant idea because it allows for a lot more stories, or I guess angles from stories, and allowing us to grow up with Comet as the show goes on, as the seasons develop, is just wonderful. And I like how that was carried on with Fuller House to an extent. I won't say any more than that in case you haven't watched Fuller House yet, but I do love Comet. One of my favourite episodes is The Greatest Birthday on Earth, which is where we have Michelle's circus-themed birthday. I just love Michelle in this episode. I think she's adorable, and I grew up worshipping Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, so any episode that focuses on Michelle kind of always makes me smile, and I just love this episode so much. One that I was really pleasantly surprised by, is the episode Aftershocks, which is where they have the earthquake aftermath, and Stephanie becomes very clingy, particularly towards Danny, and it's transpired that she's quite terrified, not necessarily of the earthquake, but of losing her father, particularly as her mother died when she was very young. And it's quite a pivotal episode, I think. It's very important, and it's something that I think a lot of viewers would be able to relate to. Not in this country, not in the UK, we don't get earthquakes, but certainly in certain parts of the US and other parts of the world where this is broadcast, I think it could open the eyes to a lot of people who may not realise the effects it would have on younger children or even adults. So that I found was quite a pleasant surprise at how they took this serious subject, delivered it very well, but also the episode's got humour in it, of course. And Bye Bye Birdie, brilliant title, love the musical. This episode sees Michelle's first day at preschool, and nobody likes her, and it's, again, just because it's a Michelle episode, I absolutely love it, but it's heartbreaking. It's such an emotional episode because of how upset she gets. It's a fun episode, but it's difficult to watch for the right reasons. And of course, the final episode, we have Telethon, and Stephanie does her Love Shack performance, and that's just one of the most iconic moments from Full House, and definitely a brilliant moment for season 3. I love the different performances that we get, and I can't fault it. I absolutely love that episode. A few other things that I really enjoyed in this is that we're getting to see a lot more of Becky. and her relationship with Jesse it's good, it's solid, but obviously it goes up and down as it would. And I guess it's hard to say in hindsight what it would have been like worrying if Becky would leave the show or if she'd be in it forever. I can't really say any more than that in case you haven't seen beyond season 3. But obviously I felt a lot safer watching it now. But if I'd watched it at the time, I wouldn't have wanted Louchlin to leave ever. So I'm glad that she mostly had a very steady relationship with Jesse in season 3. Also great to see her, of course, as the host of Wake Up San Francisco with Danny. It's great to kind of get more of Danny's job. That's something that I always enjoyed. We get to meet Doris Roberts as Danny's mother, which I love. I always loved her ever since I watched her in Everybody Loves Raymond, so that was a lot of fun. And Joey as well. We get to look more into Joey's career, or I guess lack thereof, as he's going through a bit of a midlife crisis when he's thinking, well, you know, maybe he hasn't made it as a comedian in the way he wanted to, so he should just quit and get a regular job, if you like. And, you know, I always like it when Joey gets centre of attention for a bit, because I feel like out of the 3, Danny, Jesse and Joey, he's the one who doesn't get the most. He gets fewer main storylines than the others, I feel. I don't know if that's statistically correct, because I feel like he just had less going for him. You know, obviously Danny and his children, it's his house. Jesse is obviously Pamela's brother, and with Becky there's quite a bit of a main storyline there. He's also the girl's uncle. Joey is just Danny's friend. I feel like he's the comedic relief, but there are times when he gets his own narrative, and this is one of them. Season 3 is brilliant. I absolutely love it. As I said, it's possibly my favourite season from the show. I'm not, you know, don't quote me on that, but it's brilliant. There are very few weak links in this season. I absolutely love it. I love watching the telethon clips. Definitely one of the best.